By 1943, the American war machine in Europe was bogging down. It wasn't just a slowdown, it was a grind. Facing a hardened German army, the Allies desperately needed more than just another by-the-book general. They needed a weapon. He was arrogant, insubordinate, and spoke with a fire that terrified his own superiors. They called him Old Blood and Guts, and he was about to unleash a storm of pure aggression that would fundamentally change the course of World War II. Get ready. Before he became the legendary Blood and Guts, George S. Patton, Jr. was already a force to be reckoned with. Born into a family with a rich military heritage, he graduated from West Point, but what he lacked in classroom smarts, he made up for with an obsessive dedication to military history and a fierce, competitive spirit. In 1916, he served under General Pershing in Mexico, where he led the first-ever motorized vehicle attack in U.S. military history. Imagine that! Then came World War I, where Patton found his true calling: tanks. He pioneered American tank warfare, commanded units in combat, and was even wounded in action. This wasn't a general who just read about war. This was a man who lived and breathed it, constantly preparing for a bigger stage. The year was 1942, and the Allies were having a rough time in North Africa. American forces, fresh to the fight, had just suffered a humiliating defeat at Kasserine Pass against Rommel's seasoned Afrika Korps. Morale plummeted, and our troops felt outmatched and outmaneuvered. The situation was dire. Into this breach stepped General George S. Patton. When he took command of the II Corps, he immediately clamped down on discipline, demanding proper uniforms, strict salutes, and relentless training. He famously declared, "The more we sweat in peace, the less we bleed in war." His troops might have grumbled, but they quickly saw the results. He instilled a new confidence, a belief that they could actually beat Rommel. Patton's philosophy was disarmingly simple, yet revolutionary: speed, aggression, and an unshakable willingness to take risks. For him, hesitation was a recipe for disaster. Attack, attack, attack wasn't just a catchy phrase, it was the bedrock of his leadership. He didn't direct from a faraway command tent. No, Patton led from the front, often placing himself right in the thick of the action where the bullets were flying. He believed a general should share the same dangers as his soldiers, inspiring them not just with words, but with his own undeniable bravery. This hands-on approach earned him a fierce, almost fanatical loyalty. His men saw a leader who wasn't afraid to get his boots dirty or bloody, and that made all the difference. After North Africa, Patton was just getting started. In the summer of 1943, he was given command of the U.S. 7th Army for the invasion of Sicily. This was a critical test against his British counterpart, the cautious General Montgomery. What followed was a breathtaking display of aggressive armored warfare. Patton's 7th Army, initially tasked with protecting Montgomery's flank, suddenly pivoted. He launched a daring, rapid advance across the island, sweeping through towns and outrunning his own supply lines. It became an intense race to the strategic port of Messina, and Patton's forces covered ground at an astonishing pace. However, it was during this campaign that his volatile temper led to the infamous incidents where he slapped 2 soldiers suffering from combat stress. These acts caused a public outcry and led to his temporary removal from command, a significant stain on his brilliant record. After Sicily, Patton found himself sidelined. For a man of his restless energy, it must have been agonizing. Yet, even in this professional exile, he played a crucial role in Operation Fortitude, the elaborate deception campaign designed to fool the Germans about the D-Day landings. His presence in England, with leaks about his fictional First U.S. Army, successfully convinced the Germans that the main invasion would come at Pas-de-Calais, not Normandy. Even his mere presence was a weapon, but Patton wasn't meant for deception alone. Fast forward to June 1944. The Allies had landed in Normandy, but progress was painfully slow. The stalemate needed a sledgehammer. And who better than Patton? He was finally unleashed, given command of the newly formed Third Army. His orders were clear: breakthrough at all costs and don't stop. Patton's Third Army launched Operation Cobra, a rapid offensive that exploited a narrow gap in the German lines. Fueled by his aggressive tactics, the Third Army advanced at an unbelievable pace. Within weeks, they had liberated vast territories in France, cutting through German defenses like a hot knife through butter. In just a short period, Patton's forces moved over 400 miles, a feat that stunned both allies and enemies. His relentless pursuit, often stretching or even disregarding conventional supply lines, was a bold testament to his aggressive style. He had transformed the Third Army into a striking force that simply would not be stopped. So, what made Patton such a master of armored warfare? It was a profound understanding of how to leverage technology and human will. He emphasized speed and surprise, using tanks as the primary spearhead of modern warfare. He often employed a technique he called leapfrogging, where units would bypass strong enemy positions to strike deep at their flanks, creating chaos and confusion. But it wasn't just about offense. Patton's understanding of logistics was legendary. He managed to move 133,000 vehicles and hundreds of thousands of men in harsh winter conditions to relieve Bastogne during the Battle of the Bulge, a logistical marvel that still astounds military historians today. The ultimate test of Patton's genius came in the brutal winter of December 1944. The Germans launched a massive surprise offensive through the Ardennes, creating the Bulge in the Allied lines. The situation was dire, with American forces encircled in Bastogne, freezing and running low on supplies. While other commanders debated strategy, Patton had already begun planning. With unimaginable speed, he ordered the Third Army to pivot 90 degrees and counterattack north. His exhausted troops fought through treacherous winter conditions, driven by their general's iron will. On December the 26th, Patton's forces broke through to Bastogne, relieving the encircled troops and securing a war-defining victory. While Patton's military brilliance is undeniable, his career was never without controversy. His abrasive personality and infamous incidents like the slapping of soldiers revealed the complexities of his character. These actions rightly garnered public criticism and demonstrated that even a brilliant general isn't above accountability. There were also darker accusations, like the Biscari massacre, where troops under his command killed prisoners of war, though Patton himself was exonerated from direct responsibility. Even after the fighting stopped, his blunt, politically incorrect views on the Soviet Union and post-war Germany further complicated his legacy, leading to his removal as military governor of Bavaria. Tragically, Patton died in December 1945 from complications after a car accident, just months after the war's end, leaving behind a monumental yet deeply conflicted legacy. In the end, George S. Patton, Jr. was an unstoppable force. He was a man of immense contradictions, a brilliant tactician, a harsh disciplinarian, a student of history, and a deeply flawed human being. As he once famously said, "Success is how high you bounce when you hit bottom." And bounce he did, time and again, transforming the course of history. You cannot tell the story of World War II without old blood and guts. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the life of General Patton, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more captivating stories from military history. What are your thoughts on Patton's methods and impact? Let us know in the comments below.